Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Juggy Sohal. He is a writer, producer, and director. Welcome to the show.
Ah, I like it. I like it.
So happy to have you on. Oh my gosh.
No, it's good. By the way, I never knew how to pronounce your surname until you've done it just now. I
Really?
like it. It's
What did
strong. The
what did
whole
you think
name
it
is just strong. Yeah, I like it.
Thank you, thank you. What did you think it was?
Um,
I'm intrigued.
I thought it was pronounced differently, which,
Because you know what, some
I
people
won't
see
say
the
it to just
E.
be so
No,
wrong.
I understand, it's fine. Because you know what,
Yeah.
yeah, some people they see the E at the end of my name and it throws them for a loop. They're like,
Yeah.
Buffet,
Yeah,
and
that's what I
yeah,
thought.
yeah. I'm not French Creole. I mean, I'd love to have that. I'd love to have that. But it's just like a silent E. I don't
Okay.
know where it comes from. But yeah, and fun fact, if
Yeah.
I see somebody with my surname and spelled the exact same way, I'm like, oh, we're family. Because it's very, very rare. Very, very rare. So anytime I see them, I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, cuz? Like we just say we're cousins because we just know.
Okay, but is it right? So in my
Mhm,
culture and my
mhm,
Punjabi culture, sometimes when like my parents' generation came over, they
mhm,
added like a different letter to our surname just
mhm.
to kind of fit in, or
Okay.
just for the passports or whatever.
Mhm.
Is that
No, actually, no. It's
no
always
no
been
no?
like that. Just a long history of it. Yeah,
Okay,
it goes
fair.
back far. Like even because I'm from Jamaica on both sides of my family, so
Yeah,
in a specific town called Clarendon, there's a lot of people with the Booth surname, so they're all there. So they all kind of like originate from there.
yeah.
So wherever the patriarch
I like
got
it.
the
I
Booth,
like
it
it.
just kind of has just gone down. So
I
so yeah.
like it.
But that's cool. So yeah. So how are you doing? It's good to catch up. I haven't spoken to you in ages.
I know, I know. I feel like we constantly see how each other's doing on social media, and we check in now and then, like, oh, well
Yes, yes,
done,
yes.
this, that. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's good to actually just catch up, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
it feels like you know people when you
Hmm.
meet them on social media. I know we've actually met before, but
Yes.
like, it just doesn't it feel like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's my
yeah,
friend, and I'm like,
yeah.
actually, we've only met once or twice. It's madness, isn't it?
But I think when you also meet with somebody or you support each other from afar and it's like good vibes, and within this industry, sometimes people see each other as competition, and it's just like, and for me, I don't have time for that. Like I'm only in competition with myself. Because it's weird to kind of compete with somebody else when I always say like everyone's on their own journey and path. So it's like me supporting you isn't gonna dim my light,
No,
So it's
no,
just
no,
weird.
no, no. It would
Yeah.
only make me want to make your light brighter. Do you get what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
Or it
because
inspires me to want to work harder and be like, oh, I
yeah,
see what they're doing. Let me like
exactly. Like
keep going.
there's room for everyone. Like you're one of the people that I have to say, and Parvinder Sheergill, she's my production partner for Core. She will echo this as well. You're one of the people that just constantly supports us, like
Mhm,
sharing. You're not afraid to just do it, and you're just
mhm,
like yeah, and you're like oh wow, like he's just really backing people in the community
mhm.
and
I
the
just love
industry,
it.
which
And
is really nice.
yeah, and also you're brown and I'm black, so we need to support each other, okay? The diversity
Yeah.
is abysmal. So yeah, I love what you're doing and the walls that you're breaking down because we as black people complain about diversity. You guys, it's way worse. Okay,
Mm.
I know you guys wish you just had a smidge of what we have, So I
Honest,
totally understand.
but the way I think the
Mhm,
way you guys support each other's projects, say you don't
mhm,
even back it, like
mhm.
there must be some kind of projects out there you think, but because it's from your community and
Yeah.
it's from your heritage and it's from your background, you
Mhm,
still back it and you're like,
mhm,
they're still doing amazing stuff. Like I feel
mhm,
like the South Asian community doesn't do that as much.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
feel like you guys know how to make noise. We don't as much, and I feel like that's where the difference
mhm.
lies, I
But
think.
you've been making noise, but we'll get into that later. Okay, we'll get into that later. Okay, but I was thinking like I can't remember when we actually connected on social media. It was a while before we even met, but
Mm,
I think I don't, I'm sure it was like pandemic times
yes.
around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's what I love about social media. It's like you see each other doing their thing and you're just supporting, and they're like, oh, what you're doing is cool. Let me just follow you. And then that's just how it goes. And I
Yeah.
love that about the community of the creative industry. You're networking in ways. especially when you're not just trying to be transactional, you know? So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was around that time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was because I've just kind of came back to Twitter, or it's called
Hmm.
X now, which
Hmm.
is mad. But and there's a lot of the filmmaking community on there, and I think that's how we connected. And then
Hmm.
obviously I was doing stuff, you were doing stuff, and it was just a general kind of reach out and
Hmm.
yeah, just general supportive nature, which was brilliant.
Hmm. So tell me, Juggy, how did you get started? Because I know your journey, but I love when people do a career change like you did, and I love your story because it always is never too late to pursue your passion or to do something new. So
Mm.
tell us, how did you get started?
Okay. Okay. Let me. I'll do a whistle stop tour of it. Okay. So I was young, and I always knew I wanted to do script writing. And I was always good at the English and that side of things. But so I grew up in Thanet in Kent, and it was a very kind of Caucasian environment I was in. So, and my mum and dad always wanted me to go down the traditional Indian career path of a doctor, lawyer, or accountant, and that just weren't me. I was creative, I was English, I was writing, and so I wrote a couple of scripts, and then I just sent them off. And I remember writing one script for with Nina Wadia in it and her character in EastEnders. So I wrote a script for EastEnders. I sent it
Mhm.
off. This was when I was 17, and I got sent back, and I was just so rejected. They were like, "They
Mhm.
don't send unsolicited scripts and this and that." And I was like, "Oh no." And then I went to uni. I done an English degree. I fell into sales after uni, and I really enjoyed it, to be fair. And then alongside that, I started doing a radio. I really wanted to be a radio presenter, so I started doing hospital radio. I done Shoreditch radio, and eventually landed on the BBC. So I got a job with the BBC radio, and there was just still something missing. I was like, oh, like I want to go back to my dream. I was seeing like, I'm a big film geek. I was watching all these films, all these TV series, and I was like, there's something missing. Like, what do I want to do? And then the pandemic hit, and I just turned 30, and I was like, okay, now it's giving me time to reflect. What do I actually want to do? I'm doing this Korean radio, which is great, but there's something missing. I'm doing this Korean sales, and it's financially great, but there's still something missing. So I just wrote a couple of films, and I made them. They're shocking, they're bad, but they were self-funded. They were something I'd done in the pandemic, and it just got me into this world.
Mhm.
Following that, I was, done a couple of like independent features, and then Core, which came and which I'm sure we'll get onto later. But yeah, and then that's it took like a whole direction. Like now, obviously now I'm still working full time. I'm still doing, the corporate work to subside my other passions and my production company. But it's nice to kind of just be in this and nice to have a clear goal and find my passion, if that makes sense.
Mhm. And I think it's good that you did that. And I think I always say this, like a lot of people say that, like where they try to push it down, but then eventually you just find your way back to the correct vision
Yeah.
because it's what you're meant to be doing, regardless of if you're like, oh no, I'm just gonna quit, I'm not gonna do this, or this is what my parents wanted, and blah blah blah. It's calling you if you're meant to do this. So that's why you're here now
Yeah.
writing,
Yeah.
directing, and producing. And I love that you just self-funded it and did it yourself, and those are the best type of projects to do first. I
Yeah.
think it's great to do that. Some people hate it. They're like, oh my gosh, no, I'd never do that. I want to have this. They want to be coming out the gate swinging, which is
Yeah.
fine. You can do
Yeah.
that. And your career may or may not, skyrocket, but I think it's always good to understand the industry at that level to understand, okay, what to do
Yeah.
better the next
Yeah.
time, and just kind of improve. And I always say, like, as long as the story's there, then that's fine. Production quality, forget whatever, it's fine. You don't need to worry about that. Everyone knows you don't have like a budget of £1 million to make like this stellar looking film, but
Yeah.
and that's what you did. So you mentioned Core, and that has really been the film that has been like what really just opened up so much doors for you. So how did you get connected with Parvinda, who you co-produced that with and wrote, and she's starring in it as well. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So my first Parvina Girl, she's actress, producer, director, writer, doctor. She's everything,
Everything.
and also, but one of the things we really did connect on, she's also Sikh, South Asian, Punjabi, and so from the same culture as me, same religion, and that is what really did connect us. So. I was in all my films, everything I do personally, I always try and make it diverse as possible. That's, in front of the camera and behind the scenes. And so for my first two short films, I was looking for a South Asian lead. So I done a casting on Star Now, and Parvinder was just come up and she was really interested in the role. I made an audition and I showed my mum, and my mum was like, I was like, Mum, what do you think of this for the role of the lead? And she was like, Yeah, she's perfect. And I always go by my mum's instinct and judgment.
Mhm.
So she starred in my first two films, so Colour Me Brown, which is about racism, and then Ticking That Box, which is about diversity in the workplace. And since then, we have just forged an amazing partnership where we just understand each other, and there's few South Asians and Sikhs that support each other, like genuinely. And that's what we do. And we're not in competition. She's more in front of the camera, I'm more behind. We work well together. So that's how that kind of friendship and partnership started.
Love that. So how did the story of Core come about? Because it's such a powerful story
Yeah.
and it really it really went places,
Yeah.
which was great to see. And it's such an important story. So how did that come about?
Yeah, of course. So core is just something I'm so proud of. I can
Mhm.
look back now, now we're over the stressful times and go, oh, do you know what? It was just a once in a lifetime project. I really
Mhm.
do believe that.
Mhm.
So it happened in 2021. Parvinder and I were like, okay, look, we've done a couple of films. We want to make one more short together to make impact and then go on to features and series. And we were like, okay, let's make this from something from our faith, something from our culture, something from our background that mainstream audience don't know about.
Mhm.
We wanted to aim mainstream because um, so Core predominantly is a short film about a young British Sikh girl who decides to wear a turban and dedicate her life to her faith against her father's wishes. So it was, our community are aware that females do wear turbans and they have done for, a long time. It's more common in men. So you do see a lot of men and, in the
Mhm.
streets
Yeah,
and
yeah.
on TV in turbans, but women do that as well. But the outside world appeared not to know, which was just fascinating to me because Sikhism is one of them religions where it's not really that publicized. We didn't study it at, religious studies at school. It's one of the smaller religions, so not many people know about it. So we wanted to do that justice and tell a story about that, and that's what we done. We wrote it in April 2021. We got the funding by, I think it was October 2021. We got Nina Wadia on board in April 2022, and then production was in May 2022.
Wow.
So,
Mhm.
yeah,
So how did you get funded? Because I know a lot of people are listening and being like, okay, so how did he get funded? Did he apply for funding? Did you
yeah,
crowdfund? What
yeah,
was your tactic behind that?
yeah.
Because you produced it. So what was your
Yeah.
tactic about
Yeah.
getting the
So
funding for
first
that?
of all, I just want to be clear that Parvinder and I done everything together in this film. So
Hmm.
it was both a joint partnership. So it wasn't just
Hmm.
one man. It was,
Hmm.
man and a woman teaming together, and we done this
Okay.
together. So I do want to
Yeah.
make that clear.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
we set out an agenda to we were like, look, we want to get this filmed. Because of the quality of my previous films, we knew funding is so important.
Mhm.
But as you know, Kashif, it is the bane of every filmmaker's life,
Mhm.
isn't it?
Mhm.
Like you want to reward people, you want to keep it fair, you want to,
Mhm.
get talented people on board.
Mhm.
So we just literally on that for that first film, we had the concept, we had the script, very passionate about where we wanted the film to go, and we just emailed, I think it was like 100 people each.
Wow.
And it was like literally cold
Hmm.
outreach, researched email like diversity funds and this and
Hmm.
that, and where could we tick that box? That
Hmm.
South Asian box that they need, that every kind of platform needs.
Oh yeah.
Works as well. It's not, we
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
tick them boxes because
Hmm.
no one else is going to tick them for us, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we found an investor in Ray's Creatives, Elizabeth
Hmm.
Savary. She was amazing. We've promoted her loads over the
Hmm.
film because she's just so supportive. So, one thing about Elizabeth is she's Caucasian, doesn't know anything about Sikhism, didn't know what core meant, the meaning behind the turban, and she was just supportive. She just loved the idea. She loved the kind of female-driven narrative of it. What me and Parvinder stood for, and she backed it from the start. And we had countless people from my own community that didn't
Mm.
want to back it, which was
Mm.
madness
Mm.
because Elizabeth's now laughing. If to put it,
Basically, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no,
Wow. That's
yeah,
so good to hear because usually that's what happens. Like I've been a part of some projects like that where I feel like are such an amazing story, and I was very upset that people weren't trying to support it. Like, huh? But then I realized, like, into a certain degree, I felt like it's such a business and people look at things in such a business way. So they don't understand the gap in the market. And we're trying to show you the gap in the market. But they were like, well, what's the USP? Like, what's the unique selling point of this? And I think you were in such a unique position with Core because it really has not been a story that has been told. You educated so many audiences with that story. I didn't know that until I watched the film. Do you get what I mean? So it's like that it was the USP. Some of the stuff I've been trying to sell, which are very historical, they're like, no, it's fine. And the more I've kind of delved into like documentary filmmaking as well, then that's a whole different medium. It's like there needs to be more meat to the story. Sometimes you need to have some sort of conflict because you can tell a story, but if somebody's life seems interesting, but there's no I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna say if there's no scandal, if there's no
yeah,
like, I need to see some imperfection, then people are gonna be bored. It's like, okay, that's nice. And then move on. So it would be just like a nice little 5-minute segment, but to tell a
yeah.
full story of somebody's life or a culture or something like that, it needs to have something there. And what was her name? Emma or Elizabeth, did you say?
Elizabeth,
Yeah,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, she's laughing because she saw that. And
All that.
sometimes in your own community, sometimes they don't want to take that risk because they're afraid of offending, people in your culture or people are afraid of backlash, and it's just
Mm.
like backlash is only one thing. In the big grand scheme of things, like it's not gonna hurt you. So I think it's great
Honestly,
that that happened for
gosh,
you.
it was madness, right? We
Mhm.
uh, we took the film to Parliament, Houses of Parliament. So we actually had a
I
screening there,
remember, yeah.
and we invited a lot of people from our community from
Hmm.
from the screening, and Parvinder and I done a speech, and a
Hmm.
lot of the people from our community going, oh, why are there, the front row? Why is there's Caucasians in the front row when, otherwise it was all kind of South Asian because it's a South Asian event.
Hmm.
And I was like, just hang on, don't worry, we'll answer. And then we done a speech and we were like, thanks to Ray's Creatives, Elizabeth,
Hmm.
the people at the front, because they backed the film when no one else would.
Mm,
And without even knowing that, and I will always be forever thankful for that because you need, like we were talking about it off air, that you need them sliding door moments.
mhm,
And for Pavinder and I, Elizabeth gave us that, and
mm,
we ran
mm.
with it, sprinted with it.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. So how did you get Nina like to be in it? Everyone knows she's best known for being in EastEnders. So like
Yeah,
how did you get such an established actor like that?
yeah,
Because some people may think like, oh my gosh, it's so difficult to get it. But from my own experience as well, it's not that difficult.
yeah,
It's not as long as if they love the story, they
yeah.
will say yes. So what was your like story like that with her?
So I'll go back to when I was 17. I was like, look, I'm going to work with Nina Wadia.
Yeah.
And when we had this role in the writing process, I was like, Pav, Nina's going to be perfect for this. So
Hmm.
we kind of had her in mind from the
Okay.
start.
Yeah.
And you can just tell in the kind of some of the lines and
Hmm.
that's her,
Hmm.
and she can flip from like comedy to drama just so
Yes.
effortlessly.
Yes.
She's
Yeah.
very good at her craft
Yeah.
and just lovely off screen as well. So
Hmm.
I just kind of, we kind of tunnel visioned for her.
Hmm.
Um, I think I approached her on LinkedIn
Oh
actually.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, a DM. on LinkedIn, and Nina, she liked the initial concept,
Hmm.
and then I sent her the script, and then she was like, "Yep, I want to do it. Go through my agent." And that is the story. Nina had never played a Punjabi Sikh lady. Surprisingly, she's played all the other roles, but
Yeah.
and she just worked for the role and the film effortlessly. And also, I'm very glad that she backed it, because yeah, she's been amazing throughout the whole process. Like even throughout the promo, like
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was just there and backed
Mhm.
it. We were like, oh, thank you, Nina. Like she's been great.
Hmm. So, guys, shoot your shot, but shoot your shot in the most professional way. Make sure you come correct and ready. Okay. Don't just be sending half-hearted DMs to these established actors. No, come correct. Okay. And if they like the story, they will say yes.
Yeah,
It's happened to me. It's happened to many other filmmakers who I know who've been able to get some massive actors.
yeah.
And it's because they like the story. And then when they've come on set, they've made sure that it's professional, easy. You're not looking amateurish. You come on, don't waste their time. Make sure everything, your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and it's all run smoothly. So yeah.
Also, let's not be real as well.
Mm-hmm.
You do require a budget to get these actors as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not, as much as they like the script, they need to
Mhm.
work as well. They're all
Yeah, yeah,
jobbing
yeah.
actors, and
100%.
their name can go a long way for your short film, which will
Exactly.
do more for you probably than
Mm-hmm.
them, because they don't, they're established. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously have a budget in place as well. Obviously if they really love the script, they will work with it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's really important as well. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, do it correctly, shoot
Mm-hmm.
shot, but tell them about why them, and
Exactly.
the
Mm-hmm.
concept. I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah,
really
yeah.
good nailing them two things
Exactly.
down.
Exactly. Be transparent also about your budget limitations, okay? Like be transparent, okay? Don't even go up to like, oh yeah, no, and then drop this little mad number that you think is going to be decent. Nah, be upfront always, but make sure their the camera equipment, lighting, their budget is top. Everything else
Yeah.
sliced.
Food
Okay.
catering, that's important as well. You
Uh-huh.
need you need to feed them.
Oh yeah, of course. And the catering. You know that. Like, come on, guys. You need to be feeding them very good, well-seasoned food as well. Okay.
Yeah.
No sandwiches.
Cucumber sandwiches and like,
Could
yeah,
you
nah,
imagine?
nah.
Oh my gosh.
Not on a Indian set. You're not gonna get
And never
that.
on my sets. Listen, on my black sets, no, no, no. Everyone's fed very well. Okay.
Very well. It
Very
goes
well.
a long way though. I think it
Hmm.
goes a long way. Like if you feed people and you respect the work they're doing and keep them fed, because it's a long old day. It's not,
Very, very, very. So how long did it take you to shoot it? How many shoot days was it?
core was 3 days.
Oh,
Yeah. We've
okay.
done
Good,
two
good,
days in
good, good.
London, 1 day in
Mhm.
Bedfordshire.
Okay, nice, nice.
Mm.
So when it goes back to core, like the name of the film, like is there a specific meaning behind the title of the film? Like what does that mean for people who don't know?
Yeah, so my full name is
Hmm.
Jagveed Singh Sohal, and then Parvinder's full name is Parvinder Kaur Shergill. So Sikh men and women are given middle names, which they can use as surnames as well.
Hmm.
And men are given Singh, and women are given Kaur, when Kaur means warrior, lioness,
Hmm.
princess,
Hmm.
all the good stuff.
Hmm. Love that. I love that. See, I'm learning so much. And this is what I love about culture and why it's important to share culture. It's so important. So I really like that. I really like that. So you mentioned pre briefly about your promo run. He was being very humble, guys. Okay. You were on Extra TV in Canada, you were on ITV News. You guys hit the promo trail hard, which was amazing to see. I was always just like, what? That's so sick. Oh my gosh. So like how did you get in those spaces and what was it like for you, like to be, interviewed on such like massive platforms, massive platforms?
It was mad to be honest. I
Hmm.
don't like I don't even know how it just
Yeah.
happened. It's like you said, like I think the biggest thing is shoot your shot. Like I think
Hmm.
people don't realize like obviously with short films you don't have the budget for
Hmm.
marketing. We all know that. And there's not much appetite for short films out there in the media, which is
Yeah.
which is sad because a lot of
Hmm.
work goes into them. So we were like, no, this is a great story. Nina Wadia's board. Stephen Uppal, who starred in Hollyoaks, he was on board.
Oh
We
yes, I
had,
forgot. Yeah.
yeah, we had like the
Mm-hmm.
Apprentice winner, fresh from winning, Harpreet, doing a cameo. We had, cameos from loads of different people in the South Asian community. And these are all part, and we were like, no, there's something special here. We need to do promo. So we done it from the start. We
Mm-hmm.
had BBC come on set when we're filming. We done a premiere and we invited loads of people. Weren't sure who's going to turn up. We just
Mm-hmm.
invited them. And then we, created an Instagram page and we just, the approach we had with the funding is just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, come correct. I really like what you said there. Come
Mm-hmm.
correct and do it, diligently.
Mm-hmm.
And just reach out to people and
Mm-hmm.
hope for the best. And
Mm-hmm.
the best happened, which
Yeah.
was just amazing. Even when you do the interviews, though,
Mm-hmm.
it's so daunting because you're like, oh God, you're representing a whole community, a whole religion, and you're like, oh no, and you're
Yeah.
educating the interviewers as well. I remember
Mm-hmm.
I was in Canada and Pav and Nina were on ITV News London, and it was the first promo slot. And Pav just kept, with his time difference, Pav just kept calling me because we were just like giving each other briefs, like, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're saying this. And then
Mm-hmm.
the interviewer was, he said something like, oh, I heard, women wear scarves. He called the turban a scarf. And I was like, we've educated you. This is why this film needs to go out
Mm-hmm.
because, and
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
said it was controversial. And it was like, it's not controversial. It's just not known.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the promo one was interesting. It was very
Mm-hmm.
daunting because it was a lot of twists and turns and
For
you
sure.
can't,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, you don't know what you're going to get from journalists when it's live.
Yeah.
But it paid dividends in the end. So.
Mhm. Love that. I love that. And that kind of leads on to my next question. You were privileged enough to become the first short film to be on ITVX, the ITV streaming service. And that was incredible. I mean, distribution is so hard for short films, very, very hard. As you know, and most people listening, there's no money in short films. Like no money. You're putting all your money into it and not making anything back. You're very lucky if you get your film to get a distribution deal, because, broadcasters that have short films is very much of a niche market. So yeah. So tell us about that. How did you get Kaur on ITVX?
That was a hard struggle.
Mm,
And again, it was just something like, what's the natural next progression, right? So you do a short
mhm,
film, you put it in the film festival run,
mhm,
we've got press, we've done a screening tour around temples and Sikh societies and universities around the country.
mhm.
So we're putting in the work, like really were, like every day, Parvinder and I were talking about this project.
Right.
And then it was time like we wanted like generally like we were getting messages like when can we actually see this film you've been
Mhm.
promoting like it
Yes, I
non-stop
think I said that
like
to Pavinder as well. I
genuinely
was
like
like,
when
I
we
want to see it.
yeah so obviously we got like Good Morning Britain as a promo slot and then that started the kind of ball rolling we were like okay look now we need to capitalize on that and try and find distribution. So it was just, again, shooting our shot, coming correctly, showing them that there was a campaign behind it. Because short films, like we said, they don't sell. Like, you have to have a whole campaign behind it. And we did, we had premieres, we had back in, we had House of Parliament, we had that. And that was all work that just us two had done together. No PR team, no marketing team, no even film team. It was just two people that wanted to get this story out there. And then when it went on ITVX, it was really weird because it wasn't promoted and you had to search for it in the search bar. So you had to type in Kaur, and not many people even know that, right? They probably pronounce Apple Core, so Coere, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so it was just like, oh God,
Mm,
this is not going to do much, right? And
mhm.
then we looked in the evening and it was trending. It was trending
I
for like
remember seeing that.
72
Yes.
hours, like
Mhm,
nearly 4 days. And it was
mhm,
like opposite Love Island, which
mhm,
obviously is one of the biggest shows in summer, right?
mhm,
And it was just madness. And we were like,
mhm.
wow.
Yeah. And it was
Wow,
on there for what, 6 months, wasn't it?
6 months, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great deal, especially for a short film, which is not even like an ITV original or anything like that, you know. And then, you did that and it was like, okay, cool. It's been on ITVX, breaking ground. I mean, the type of story being the first short film on ITVX, and then out of nowhere, you just decide to get it on Netflix. And that
Yeah.
is even massive. And was it on just Netflix UK or was it Netflix like worldwide? Because there's a difference, of like
Hmm.
the distribution levels, and people don't understand that. So, what was that like? And was it what specific Netflix was
Yeah,
the
so it's
deal you
Netflix
got?
UK,
Okay.
Ireland, and Europe,
Okay.
and yeah, and then obviously we're working on the worldwide distribution. But obviously,
Hmm.
like you said, there's so many different
Hmm.
teams and
Yeah.
platforms and
Yeah. Hmm.
doors you have to open for that. So yeah,
Hmm.
that is a stuff that is in the
Yeah.
process.
Hmm.
And again, it was just following ITV, it was like, what could we do next with it? There's an
Hmm.
appetite for it. There's an appetite for people to see it on a bigger scale.
Hmm.
And it was just, shooting our shot. And but
Hmm.
then going to them with a campaign behind us. And I think one of
Hmm.
the things that Parvinder and I have realized is that, like a lot of people coming to us only once the Netflix acquisition was announced, going,
Hmm.
oh, can we have a Netflix contact? Well, how did you get on Netflix? And I'm like, you haven't supported the film. It's
Hmm.
been on campaign trail for 2 years.
Hmm.
And then now you're just coming to us when it's
Hmm.
seen as something legitimate. And that's quite disheartening because you're
Yeah.
like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't know you. If you're my friend in the industry, I will tell
Hmm.
you and
Hmm.
I will, Parvinder's like that as well. We're very giving,
Yeah.
generous people and we
Hmm.
want everyone to do well. But even if I gave you the, email address,
Hmm.
uh, I've been rejected by Netflix before. So who
Yeah.
says you aren't with your film that's just been out
Exactly.
like
Hmm.
a month or something like
Hmm.
that? And people need to put in the work to
Yeah.
get something like that. People don't
Hmm.
understand the behind the scenes stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. Like
Yeah. But it's just a
even so
goal.
much when it got on Netflix, I think
Hmm.
Parvinder and I were so fed up of talking about it. We were like, can we just not talk about mention core for like 2 months? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
know what
But
I
it's just a
mean?
goal. Like that, it's just like I could never in my life feel like I could just, jump into someone's DMs and be like, "So, can you give me the contact about getting my thing on Netflix?" I
No.
would never do that. Even when I saw you promote that, all you saw me say was congratulations. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah,
proud of
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
guys. That was my only thought process. I'll never would be like, "So, can you give me the plug?"
No,
Like,
it was hi, nice to connect. Hope all is well.
mhm.
How'd you get a Netflix?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't what? Like,
And I also
come
feel like
on.
like why would like maybe this sounds bad, but like I'm not just gonna sit up here and tell you, okay, well, this is what I did, blah 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 blah. No, I don't need to do that. And it's not saying that you're gatekeeping. It's kind of more so of like I can share with you what I did, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna have the same trajectory of success. You working hard to get on that promo trail to get on ITV made it somewhat easier to a certain degree for you to be able to have more opportunities for it to go more places. One platform leads to another, and then it leads to another, and that's where things open up for you. That's just the business of it because they're seeing, oh, there's a market. People have been watching this. You can share the data and say, well, look, this is how much hours people streamed it. Could you imagine what you could get on Netflix, etc.? And you need to understand how to do that. If you don't have that mentality or know how to pitch yourself or pitch your product, because your film is a product, then you're not gonna get anywhere because you could send your little crap pitch deck to them and then it's not going anywhere. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah, but it's just yeah, no, 100%. And it's like
Mhm,
so I've got two films
mhm,
that I'm looking for distribution for. But I wouldn't
mhm,
even go to Netflix because it doesn't have the power that Core had behind it. And that
mhm,
be
mhm,
why would I do that? It's about being strategic and knowing actually, do you know what? That's not the answer for everything. It's like funding other mediums, right?
mhm.
This
Yeah.
is comedy and drama, and they're quite simple plot lines, which I
Mhm,
wanted to do for
mhm.
myself, just to show my versatility as
Yeah.
a, writer, producer, director. And
Yeah.
it was like, but
Mhm,
because they don't have the momentum of Core behind it,
mhm,
but why would I waste that opportunity? Like, why
mhm.
would I go to,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's about
100%.
being clever about and
Hmm.
knowing the end product, knowing what would be a good fit for it. Not just
Yeah.
assuming that this will be the answer to everything because it might open some doors, but
Yeah.
then there's always a double door right
Hmm.
there in front of
Hmm.
you where you still
Hmm.
have to unlock.
Yeah. And I love that. I love what you said. And I think it's as a creative, as a filmmaker, you have to learn to be honest with yourself about your work. Don't get into your head and think, oh, this is an Oscar-winning film. No, it's not. Okay? No, it's not. Be strategic. Know the audience of
I'm gonna
like,
come to you. When I need the reality check, you're like, no, no, no,
yeah,
no.
that's me. I'm the producer to give you that reality check. Like, where things can go and where it can't go, and like knowing that, okay, this is that audience, this is where I know I can take that, knowing that certain projects are going to be for this, and that's okay,
Mm,
because for me, every project that I do take on, I look at to see how I can benefit from it. Like some of the most recent stuff I've just been sharing, there's its narrative, but also has a commercial element to it. So I'm just making sure that that leads to me getting more freelance work in advertising so I can produce commercials because there's money in commercials. Do I
mm,
want to be an advertising producer full time? No. But do I want money? Yes. So that's what I'm doing. You have to understand how it works. And once you understand that, that's where things go. But
mm.
I love how from core you've been able to continue this journey of what you've learned from there and go on there. Because in your most recent film, I mean, you've had Chizzy in it, Louise. Is her surname still Redknapp? I'm not sure. Is it
Yeah,
still
yeah,
Louise the Red?
yeah. That's it.
Like these are not just casual names, like these are big names. And so, Juggy, you have just been continuing to go forward. And it's great to see. I'm inspired by what you're doing, watching you work and what you're doing. So it's like,
Thank
it's
you.
great to see you walk in that. So how has it been for you to kind of go out on your own this time, taking everything you got from core and doing it for these projects now?
Do you know what? It's been really, really nice, and that's why
Hmm.
I wanted to do these projects. Again,
Hmm.
they're self-funded, so it's like I call it the Moments film series, and it's
Hmm.
two short films. One's a comedy called The First Moment We Met, and it's
Hmm.
about two people. They meet in a record shop and sparks fly.
Yeah.
And it is
Hmm.
literally so old school,
Mm.
so simple. I'm biased, but because I wrote it, but so funny
Yeah.
and again, it has two diverse figures
Hmm.
um in the lead roles, which I was really passionate about. And
Hmm.
then the drama, and then the comedy also stars Louise Redknapp, so she
Hmm.
makes a cameo appearance in it, and she's great. She's
Hmm.
great. Like I'd love to work with her again. Honestly,
Hmm.
she's. I think she could very natural on screen. Like
Hmm.
I think she could do that. And then the drama is called The Last Time We Spoke, and it's a mother and son, and the di test how their relationship's tested when the
Hmm.
son gets in trouble. And then that stars Chizzy Akadulu,
Hmm.
and she is amazing. When I got her on board,
Hmm.
I was like, wow, and
Yeah.
she's just so funny.
I
Off
worked with her recently over the summer as well. She is hilarious.
she's
Like she is a
full of
ball of
energy,
energy. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then it's a dramatic role, and she just like
Mhm.
snaps back into it,
Witches,
and
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
wow, like
Hmm.
wow, and
Hmm.
you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then Samuel Small, he's like
Hmm.
done like loads of really good stuff as well,
Hmm.
but he's more of a method actor, so
Mm.
his part is quite gritty, and he has to be a bit more like meat.
Hmm.
So he was just their approaches were so different,
Yeah.
but they're both done so well. And yeah, so I just wanted to showcase everything we've learned and go, do you know
Hmm.
what? I still done it on a shoestring budget, but I've done it really well. Like
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
good. Like I'm actually
Hmm.
really, really proud of them.
It's
Like
really
for the
good.
budget, yeah, I'll tell you off camera what the
Yeah.
budget was, but for the budget,
Literally.
we've done some amazing stuff, and I
Hmm.
can't wait to get them out there and the world to see
Hmm.
them because they're really special to me, these two.
Well, keep me posted. I want to come to any premiere screening, whatever. Love to see it. But yeah, so what else is coming up for you? Like what else is going on for you as well?
So I've got, yeah, so I'm working on distribution for these shorts. So hopefully
Hmm.
that's coming soon. And then I've got a couple of like different projects in the on the horizon. I'm just
Great.
deciding which one I want to do because I want to make my feature film debut.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
and then I've got a couple of options to produce. I'm just trying to pick my next big project wisely.
Mhm.
So it's interesting at the moment. It's an interesting time. I'm just it's a bit daunting because it's kind of like the next thing after core,
Mhm.
and it's like oh the pressure's there as well. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, yeah. No, no, I understand. I understand. You know, like when you see people say, "Oh, then every project you put out looks better than the last." I'm like, okay, pressure. But like, I also feel like I'm meant to. I don't take it as an insult. I'm meant to improve the next project. Doesn't mean my last project was bad, but it's about learning and continuing and showing the diversity of the type of content that I can make, that you can't put me in a box, you know? And also when you have like, you know, successes and fails, and you know, I've spoken about how the web series that I exec produced, Talia Versus, got commissioned by Channel 4 and
it
then
was
it got
amazing.
put on pause because the
Mm.
industry's where it's at. And now we've done like a proof of concept for another pilot, and that's gonna, okay, here we go again. And I think also, like what I was saying to you about unknowing, being honest with yourself and where it could go. I remember when I saw Talia Versus and saw how it turned out, I was like, I'm gonna get this commissioned. And then I did. So it's like knowing what you can do. And if you put your mind to it, you can get yourself in those spaces. And that's what you and Pav did. Like you put yourself in spaces because you knew the how special the story was and how unique it was. And I forgot to mention, but you guys are developing a feature film, right? Still of core to kind of
Yes.
develop it more. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really exciting. And also the short film to feature film pipeline, it doesn't always happen. So I really, really hope this does happen because I feel like this will touch so many young girls or just the whole entire South Asian community in a way which, you know, you've had a representation of like, you know, Bend It Like Beckham or whatever, which was cool. But this story, which touches to who you are as people even more, is great. And people don't understand how representation really does matter. And having a film like that that people can grow up watching and continue to like pass down to the generations is so important. And I really, really hope that you guys get to make that feature as well.
Oh,
Really.
thank you. That
Yeah.
means a lot. Thank you. That's really nice. And
Yeah.
by the way, can I just
Mhm.
say, loved. Now I realize how we connected.
Mhm.
Jamal starred
Um,
in Jamal Ronaldo.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
He starred in Ticking That Box,
yeah.
Newlyweds,
Uh-huh.
and then
Yes.
that's how like we connected over Twitter.
Oh,
Because I love
okay.
Newlyweds, by the way. Like
Thank you. Oh
brilliant.
wow.
Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
loved it. Honestly, like
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, you done really, really well with that. Like
Thank
yeah, it was
you.
yeah, it ticked a lot of boxes. Like
Hmm.
and their chemistry as well, really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very
Like
good.
you
A
cast
lot
it
of
really well as
people.
well.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, them two just hit it off immediately when they first met. Even when we were on set, like people were like, "What do you mean they're not together?" I said, "They're not together." Like everybody's
But
like,
Jamal is good at that. Jamal is good with his on-stage
Mhm,
partners. Like
mhm.
he's good. He knows what to do. Like
Yes.
and that's it. And then yeah, and then you done Talia versus. Did Jamal was a part of that as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. So Talia
Yeah.
is funny because I was working on Newlyweds before Talia Versus, and
Oh.
then um, but then Talia Versus, that's a funny story. We had 3 weeks to shoot it and
Mm.
cast and do, you know how it goes. Cast
Yeah.
it, shoot it, everything.
Everything is.
Yeah, so yeah, so we had to shoot that like, and it was like during peak COVID. So yeah, so we shot Talia Versus first. Yeah. And then Newlyweds got shot in towards the end of 2021. Yeah, and then it
Mm.
came out 2022. So yeah, so that's how it was. But I've known Jamal for years, years.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, I've known him for like 11 years. Way crazy. So,
But that's why
talented,
actors,
funny.
but also if you get a good producer and director,
Hmm.
we want to work with we
Yeah,
stick with our own.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
we work
basically.
like Parvinder's basically gonna be in everything of mine, like from
Hmm.
now on. And
Hmm.
like you're Jamal for you, like
Hmm.
we genuinely like even
Hmm.
Jamal I actually reached out to at one point, starring the first movie we met,
Hmm.
because there was a last minute casting issue, and
Hmm.
then I reached out to him and I was like, oh, he couldn't do it.
Hmm.
And then I had someone else anyway. And
Hmm.
but like yeah, so
Hmm.
we're quite loyal to
Yeah, yeah,
once you
yeah.
find your tribe, I think you're quite loyal to your tribe, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%. And especially if like, you know, you're good vibes, you bring good vibes and it's great energy and you know, you're lovely to work with, then yeah, you want to work with them again. And it's always amazing to have that community. And I think that's what's
Mm,
so important. And in this industry, you need to have that community because people, like we said, people will be just in your DMs trying to be very transactional, and not actually be friends, like genuine friends. So yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. So Juggy, where can people find you? Where can they find Core on their social media? Where can they stay updated with what you're doing,
Yeah,
what you've
so
got
of
going on as
course.
well?
So at JUGGYZ, Juggy Z on Instagram. And I think I'm only on Instagram. Yeah. Oh no, I'm on Twitter. Yeah, same thing on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Core KAUR_film, and it's available to stream on Netflix.
Good. And what about, do you have your production company? Does that have its own page as well? Because
No, no, I just kind of do it through I'm on
okay.
social media. So
Great.
Flip the Script Network is my
Hmm.
production company. But yeah, I love it because
Okay.
it's diversified productions, which
Hmm.
me and you are champions of. So
Yes. Nice. Well, it was so good having you on the show. It was so great just hearing more in detail about how you got Core made and what you're doing next as well. So I'm excited just to see where you go next. So yeah, thanks again for coming on.
thank you for having
And
me.
yeah, it's good. So guys, thank you for tuning in for this week's episode. You can follow me all on my usual socials. You know them. There's a bunch of them. Stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.